All right, so this is the first one. I would say most of you did pretty good on this one. You just have to do, if they give you 2i as a 0, you have to add on negative 2i as a 0, and then do x minus 3, x minus 2i, x plus 2i. I would start with the 2 on the right that have the i's because those will cancel out, and you'd get x squared plus 4 from that. You can use your shortcut or FOIL it out. So this one was Armando. Good job, Armando. And then distribute, excuse me, the x minus 3 in, and you should have gotten x to the third minus 3x squared plus 4x equals 12. Most likely, again, I haven't finished it, but once I do, I'll definitely give you more information about the format. Most likely this question would be, a fill in the blank, or one in which you can use the equation editor. And so it will say f of x equals, and you'll just give me this part of your equation, okay? If it was multiple choice, obviously, you'd see it like that. So it should be x to the third minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 12, yeah.
Would that be like on our test?
Something like this could be. Yeah, you might see something with a binomial instead of just one, but something like this could be. Yeah, for sure. All right, second question was a little bit more rough. Okay, so it said, first of all, what are the zeros of the function? And then at the top I wrote, give me the possibles and use Descartes' rule, because those will be parts of your test. So if I wanted to use Descartes' rule, remember I'm going to count the sign changes. As is, this goes from positive to negative, that's one, negative to positive, that's another one. So there'd be 2 or 0 positive real roots. Then to test the negative roots, I would plug in a negative x. So negative x to the third minus 11 negative x plus 150. And I get negative x to the third plus 11x plus 150. Now there's one sign change. So there's one negative real root. That helps me determine what to try, because if it's 2 or 0 of the positives but 1 of the negatives, I'm not going to try positives because there's a possibility that none of them work. I'm going to try the negatives first. So that's what that helps you with. Okay, that's one part. The second part was list all your possibles. So the possibles are plus and minus, factors of the last over first. So last here is 1 and 150, 2 and 75, 3 and 50, 4, 5 and 30, 6 and 15. That's it, right? Yeah. So that all goes over. There's still just a 1 at the front, so it'd be 1. So it'd be plus and minus 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 15, 30, 50, 75, and 150. So I'm still playing with the format on this question, but I'm thinking it will be like one where you have to answer multiple parts and then upload it, because otherwise it's really hard to answer those in different, like the way you can, I can't mix a drop down with a fill in the blank, right? So it's hard for me to do, this is all gonna be one kind of question. So you'll probably see it like that. And if it's that case where you're writing on the line, which you'll see on your quiz for today, the practice quiz, you could put the plus and minus at the front. I don't need a -1, a +1, -2, +2, like all that. If it's fill in the blank, then you need a -1, +1, -2, +2, that kind of thing. Aubrey.
Isn't it 10 instead of 6?
What did I do? 10 and, oh yeah. Thank you. 10. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to do the actual test for the roots. So this is my possible bank, okay? But because of Descartes' rule, I'm going to skip the negative positives, and I'm going to go straight to the negative. Yep.
I forgot 6 and 25.
Oh, I did have it. 6, 25. Thank you. Okay. So I will fast forward because most of you got to this part. That -6 worked, right? So if I do -6, I get 1, 0, -11, and 150. Bring down the 1, -6, -6, 36, 25, -150, 0. There's the first one that worked. Then I'm going to take what I've... Yeah.
Did you just use like -6 randomly, or like...
No, I said I'm going to skip over all the possibles because you guys did the work. Yeah. I would have, though, tested just the negative. So I would have done -1, -2, -3, -5, and -6. And that would have been the first one I got. Okay, then I'm going to take what's left, x squared minus 6x plus 25. If I could factor it, obviously I would, but there's no factors of positive 25 that add up to -6, which means I have to use my quadratic equation. My quadratic formula is the a is 1, the b is -6, and the c is 25. So the opposite of negative 6 is 6, plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. 6 plus and minus the square root of 36 minus 100 over 2. And from there I get 6 plus and minus the square root of negative 64 over 2. 6 plus and minus 8i over 2, which becomes 3 plus and minus 4i. Those are my remaining roots. So because it said what are all the zeros of the function, I have to give the negative 6 we found from using,
You can still complete the square with that too, right?
absolutely. Yeah, question was, can you complete the square with that? Yeah, I'll actually show that. Yeah, because you could do both. And then positive 3 minus 4i and positive 3 plus 4i. So those three have to be included. Don't forget your negative 6 that you got from your possible bank. So the question came up, can you use complete the square on this? And absolutely, especially because the second number is even, it's not so bad, right? There's nothing on the front. I have to take out, so I could do this. And then I would take that 6, x squared minus 6x, leave that space, plus 25 equals 0. Take the 6, divide it by 2, it's 3, square it, it's 9, add it here, subtract it from there. X minus 3 squared plus 16, subtract the 16. Square root both sides, putting a plus and minus in front of there. I get plus and minus 4i equals x minus 3, and then add the 3. So 3 plus and minus 4i equals x. So if you prefer complete the square, especially if there's nothing to take out and it's even in front of the instead of the quadratic, you could totally do it. It's your choice. Questions? Everybody good here? Yes, everybody good from home? Okay, last one says use the given 0 to find all the zeros of the function. So I'm giving you one complex root. If negative 3 plus I is a root, what else do you automatically know is a root?
Negative 3 minus I.
Good, negative 3 minus I. So then I'm going to do x minus a negative 3 plus I and x plus a negative, x minus a negative 3 minus I. So this becomes x plus 3 minus I and x plus 3 plus I. Then I'm going to FOIL that out carefully, or multiply it out carefully. X squared plus 3x plus ix plus 3x plus 9 plus 3i minus ix minus 3i minus I squared. The I should cancel. Positive ix, negative ix, positive 3i, negative 3i cancel. And this becomes minus a negative 1, which becomes plus 1. X squared, combine my like terms, plus 6x plus, there's a 9 and a 1, which is 10. That goes on the outside. It's the divisor, and this goes underneath. 4x to the third plus 23x squared plus 34x minus 10. 4x here, and I multiply it times all three. 4x to the third plus 10x plus 40x. Change your signs. Wait, sorry, this should be 24. 24. And I get negative x minus 6x minus 10. At the top has to be a negative 1. Negative x, that's a squared. X squared minus 6x minus 10. Change your signs. Remainder 0. If it's not 0, we did something wrong. This is my last factor, which means my last root is 1/4. And those three are my zeros. Again, pay attention to instruction. You guys, if you're going to chat me a question that's a general question, do me a huge favor and please say it out loud. It's a lot to manage all the different things. Why is chat even here? Oh, sorry, Armando, I totally missed it. The other thing it could ask for is a product of linear factors. So keep that in mind, right? If I did a product of linear factors, it would be x, it would be this, okay? x minus the negative 3 plus I, x minus the negative 3 minus I, and x minus 1/4. Then it becomes x minus, or x plus 3 minus I, x plus 3 plus I, and this 4 has to go in front of the x for x minus 1. So keep in mind, directions might say find them, but then it also might say list as a product of linear factors, and it could say that at any point. Like the question we did before, or this one, whatever it is, if you get that question, then you need to make them into those parentheses, okay? And no fractions, no exponents. You can't do like x minus 3 times x minus 3, make that x minus 3 squared. It has to be expanded out. Okay, questions on any of those three? I know they're big. They take a little bit of time, which is one of the reasons why I'm going to split this test over the course of the 2 days. But you are going to have to, and there's a lot of work involved here. Be really careful because mistakes are made on this, like one little negative, and it messes that whole thing up, right? The good thing about this is your first check is the 0. Okay, you should have a 0 as a remainder. If you don't, you did something wrong. Go back to the drawing board, re-multiply it out. There were some people that chose to do synthetic division with that negative 3 plus I on the outside. It works. You just have to do synthetic division twice. Sometimes it gets messy, but that's certainly an option. So the Hallmark questions that came up, Lucy, that first one, you just forgot the roots that they gave you. So it wanted all of the roots. You just forgot the negative 6 and the negative 6i and positive 6i.
Because I wrote that and it said it was wrong, so then I just changed it to -1, and then it also said it was wrong. So
okay. It should have been right with the negative 6i and the positive 6i. And then number 9, like, I don't know where the positive 4 came from. You should have done what we just did with the x minus 4 minus 3i and x minus 4 plus 3i. Foiled that out. These cancel, that becomes a positive 9. That goes on the outside. This would be x. Change your signs. This would be 4. Change your signs and they cancel. This should be a minus. So x minus 4 is the last factor, which means just 4. So then you had the 4 minus 3i that they gave you, the 4 plus 3i that they gave you, and the negative 4.
Thank you.
Here, take. You're welcome. And then Valerie, this one's yours. Christian, you have your ID, right? Okay. The last question just said, use the factorization to determine the x-intercepts of the graph, and then use the graphing utility to, I don't even know what it says, I got cut off, to verify that those are the only x-intercepts. So of your 3 roots, right, you had negative 3, you had negative 4 minus I, and negative 4 plus I. The only one that's going to show up as an x-intercept is the real root, which is negative 3. So that was the only one that works on the actual graph. Anything involving an I is not going to show up on a graph.
Oh, so it's just like the only real number like out of all your zeros?
Yep, and if there was 2 real numbers, you'd put 2. This one only had 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are we going to have a question like that on the quiz?
You won't have to verify it with your graphing utility, but you can certainly get one that says to find the zeros. That's just like the number 2 from the warm-up.
Yeah, I know. I was asking about like the last one.
No, yeah, you won't. It's actually a good way for you to check your work, that's all. All right, so there's 2 things posted under the quiz review. It says like 2425 quiz and review. Okay, the first is non-graded, that's your quiz review. So I would say that's what I'm going to open up in a second. Okay, but this is a PDF with some examples, and then it's got the solutions right there worked out. This is just to help you review, okay? If you want to look through it, which we're going to do in a minute, and see, like, what of this do I need to practice, what don't I need to practice, okay, that's what I would have given as the review. And then the next thing underneath it is your homework for tonight, which is the practice. It just says practice quiz. It's the PDF of what the quiz would have been. So if you go to your first question, like, preview it. If you go to your first question, it's a PDF, okay? You're going to open the PDF. You're going to open it into Notability, or if you want to do it by hand, that's fine. Oh, I have to switch view. It looks like this, right? You've got all the questions that would have been on a quiz version. It's not all of the quiz versions, but there is the questions that would have been on the quiz. So this you are going to complete for homework. You're going to show all of your work, and then you're going to submit it. This one question is a file upload question. So work it out, make the PDF, send it to your files, and then pull from your PDF. So I don't want pictures here. I want the actual PDF. Does that make sense? Does anybody need help with that process? The export from Notability to your files and then pull from files into Canvas. Everybody's good. Okay, so let me go to the quiz review. All right, so this is posted as a quiz review. There's two things posted actually. Let me go just talk about a couple of the things that are on here, and then I'm going to give you time to work. So this is obviously this whole page is 2.4, which was your complex numbers. Okay, so we started with adding, subtracting. Remember, just combine your like terms here. Then we went into multiplying. We multiply them just like regular, except that we replace any I squareds with a -1. Be careful with something like number 5. Do not distribute the exponent. You want to expand and FOIL that. Number 6 says write the complex conjugate of the complex number and then multiply it by its complex conjugate. So what would be the conjugate of 3 minus 5i? Good. 3 plus 5i. And then what's the shortcut? A squared plus b squared. Remember, we ignore the I. So the 3 is the A and the 5 is the B. So I'd get 9 plus 25, which is 34. Seven is your rationalizing of your denominator, right? You're going to multiply both the top and the bottom by the complex conjugate. So I'd multiply both the top and the bottom by 4 minus I. What's interesting is we are doing the exact same thing in Algebra 2 Honors right now. So rewind to last year's self if you were in Honors and you were doing almost the exact same thing. Okay, same thing for number 8, complex conjugate, multiply it in the top and the bottom. The difference is it's a binomial at the top, that's all. This is still 2, 4, okay? 2, 4 got us from, actually it goes all the way down, all the way through the i's. So simplify, make sure you pull the i's out before you multiply. On 9 and 10, well, 9 is subtraction, 10 is multiplication. Make sure you write it in standard form, which means the I comes last. 11 and 12 are the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus and minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And again, standard form, which means you're going to separate out the fractions if there are at the end, okay? Last page is your 2, 5. So this is like what we just did. This one says find the possible roots, then list all the zeros. So you're going to have to test it using synthetic, reduce it a degree. These are both quadratic, so cubic, so you just have to reduce it a degree, and then solve it either using the quadratic formula or if it's factorable. 3, 4, and 5 are giving you the actual equation, so you're going to give me as an answer f of x equals whatever that is. Remember, if there's complex roots, you add on the conjugates. 6 is just like the last question we did on the warm-up. Any questions for me? Today's kind of our catch-up day because normally we'd be doing a quiz review and then tomorrow we'd be doing a quiz, which that's what we eliminated. We're okay? Yes? Okay, so my advice is work on any of these because this, I'm not grading, but this is for you to review to see how well you know the stuff. What is being graded is that quiz assignment. Questions? Everybody's good? Yes? Okay, I'm gonna let you work. You literally have 20 minutes, okay? 21 minutes, 22 minutes. Please work. So if you wanna skip, that's the answers. They're there and also worked out, okay? But if you wanna skip to go to Canvas and do that quiz assignment because you feel confident and you're ready to do it, okay? I don't care what you work on. You have to know what review you need. I can't read minds. I'd love to, actually, I don't wanna read minds. I don't wanna know half the time. Yeah, sometimes I'd like to know, but I'd like to be able to turn it on and off. Okay,